Good day, everyone, and welcome to Home at the Hollow. My name is Glennis, and welcome to my kitchen. I want to thank y'all so much for joining me today. I've had a subscriber send me a recipe that they are kind of struggling with, I believe, but they wanted me to make this and for me to kind of troubleshoot, or maybe how to take their particular recipe and take it up to the next level. The recipe I'm talking about is called a Pina Colada Quick Cake, and there you go. If this is a recipe that interests you, or if you want to hear some troubleshooting for a recipe, or if you just want to come and hang out with me for a little while, then I hope you keep watching. I'm going to get started with 3 cups of flour. I've got a combination of baking powder, cinnamon, and salt. And, as usual, y'all, all of the ingredients and the amounts will be in the description box below. That's, really all there is. I've got, I think, a cup of sugar, granulated sugar. And there we go. We're just going to set this aside. I've got a 20-ounce container of crushed pineapple. I've got 3 already beaten eggs. Really wonderful farm fresh eggs. I've got, I believe it's 2/3 of a cup of cream of coconut. I've got, let's see, a couple of tablespoons. Now, if you have Greek yogurt, that's wonderful. I didn't have any. I've got 2 tablespoons of sour cream. A stick or a half a cup of butter, melted, salted, unsalted, whatever you have in your fridge. Just give this a little bit of a stir. I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to add my flour. I really appreciate y'all sending recipes for me to try out, to share with everybody. I have never made this. I think this is going to be pretty good. And you can, kind of tell when you're cooking, whether you're cooking or you're baking, if, this recipe is going to be working. And really, you should be able to read in your cookbook and, kind of look at the proportions of a recipe and go, yeah, that's going to work. There's a little bit of an extra amount of baking powder in this, probably to keep it from, getting like really dense and heavy because of the crushed pineapple that's in here. And that's looking, and, not only looking, but more importantly, it's the texture of the batter will tell you if it's, I learned that many years ago. And I'll make another video about that, because I think I'm going to make a video to answer subscribers and friends and everyone's questions. I have had some interesting questions, and I think that I'm going to just, make a video and answer some of those for y'all. So if you have a question, definitely let me know. And there you go. And I can see it, and I can feel it already, kind of start to move. You don't want to, go crazy and overdo this. But you certainly, in something like this that you're not, you know, putting in a big blender, not a blender, but excuse me, a mixer or something like that. This is one of those ones that, you know, if you sift your flour a little bit, you know, just give it a little love, a little zhuzh, it should be okay. And this is what this batter is looking like. And in her, you know, email and things like that, I believe they said it made 3 mini loaves. I'm not really sure. I'm going to just scrape these out. I'm super not wasteful. I don't want to miss out on a thing here. and just get the rest of this. But they said it was 3 mini loaves, and I'm looking at this batter and I'm like, wow. My mini loaves are pretty different. And I do have a semi-prepared pan, and the reason I'm saying semi-prepared is because I thought, okay, 3 mini loaves, and I'm like 3 cups of, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think so. But I've already lightly greased some of these. I'm gonna fill this, and how I do it, I mean, you can pour, if you're good, then awesome. But what I try to kind of measure a little bit with an ice cream scoop, and just to, you know, to see. Sometimes you can, you know, kind of look at it, and this is going to make a really goodly amount of mini loaves. And, you know, I'm not mad about that one bit, because I can, you know, of course, go ahead and bake these up and, you know, freeze them. And so when someone in your household, or you want to grab one and take one and go to work with you for break time or whatever, then I like to divide things up small like this. And it also kind of helps you control what you eat as well. But I'm going to get this finished. I may have to get another pan out because that's a lot of batter. So maybe they meant 3 bigger loaves. I'm not really sure. But 350, I'm going to start checking these, because they are truly indeed mini loaves. I'm going to start checking these probably at about 25 or 30 minutes. If it was, you know, a mini loaf that was like my cranberry orange bread, where you have cranberries, you know, in the particular bread, and you definitely want that to bake. But with this should be 30 minutes. And I'm going to do a skewer test and pull them, and we're going to try these out. So y'all, please excuse the oven noise here. I've actually taken these out, and I had enough left over for a half dozen of small, like, muffins. But what the recipe calls for is for you to cool this, take it off the pan, thank you, oven, and to put over this a mixture of toasted coconut, and I just happen to have some toasted coconut and a little bit of cream of coconut. But I'm probably not going to eat it that way. To me, it seems kind of maybe a wee bit messy. I don't know, but I think what I'm going to do, of course, I've already skewered one of them to make sure it was done, but what I'm going to do is just, and I'm not going to do it to every one of them, because I'm just experimenting at this point. I would have liked this to have browned up, but, you know, they are baked, so I couldn't just leave them in there and really too much longer. But the mixture, the coconut and the cream of coconut, I'm going to just kind of daub on here to get this to soak into this bread as it cools. This just came out of the oven. You know, if you hear my oven fan still going. I just took these out. And I think I'm going to do the same to a couple of the muffins. And I think what I'm going to do is leave the muffins that are like this in the oven just to kind of see, okay, there you go, just to kind of see what happens to it. You know, really, you know, this is not something I would normally do. Move some of that over here and give you a little more love. But I'm going to just kind of let that set as it is and just allow it to totally cool off. And so I know it's going to cut really well because I can, you know, it gives just absolutely perfectly. It just isn't brown. So I have no doubt it's going to taste good. It's not, when it's baking, it's not terribly fragrant. So this is not going to fill your home with this just wonderful, beautiful aroma. It just doesn't have that. But I bet it tastes pretty good. So I'm going to let this cool off and we will be back for a taste test. So this recipe is really super simple and super quick. And of course, I didn't have any trouble following the recipe as it was, although I think my biggest challenge was, you know, automatically going, okay, I would, you know, add this, that, or the other, but I promised them that I would make it exactly as it was sent to me, and that's where we are. This, I'll take this off so y'all can see. This is basically the color of it. Whoops. I think y'all can see. I don't personally mind a light colored bread. Okay. But it's actually better, and you can, you know, even though it was baking, I couldn't smell it. I just simply, you know, I couldn't not pick up on any kind of really wonderful aroma or anything. But what I did is I took a muffin and I split it in half. I sliced up one of the smallest of the mini loaves and I toasted them in the oven. In hindsight, if you're going to use this recipe exactly as it is and really feel compelled to toast it, it's really good. Now, I did take one of the end pieces and I ate it just like, you know, not toasted, you know, just like it was. And for me, it was a little bit dense. I'm not really sure why that was. But I mean, it's baked up really, really pretty. And if you slice it too thinly, it will break. But what I would do differently when I'm making the batter for this, I would add maybe half a teaspoon of vanilla and half a teaspoon of coconut extract in the batter itself. Now, I didn't care for adding the coconut with the coconut cream and then putting it on the top like after it's served. That just for me is, you know, that's just not me. I could probably still do it, but I'm going to just pass on that. But what I would recommend is maybe making like a crumb, if you really want a topping for your muffins or bread or what have you. I would recommend, you know, coconut, just coconut and brown sugar, maybe just a wee bit of cinnamon. Definitely, you know, of course, butter, cut that together and then sprinkle it on your loaves or whatever. And at that point, if you wanted to, you know, add some walnuts or some pecans or something like to the topping, you know, some people don't want it, some people do. It's, you know, really kind of up to you. But what I really wanted to do, even after I brought it out of baking in the oven, my first instinct was to take my skewer and to keep poking. And I did poke a few and allow the coconut and the coconut cream to kind of seep in there. But what I would do, if you have like a mini loaf pan like I have, or even a bigger loaf pan, what I would do is I would skewer whatever it is that you've baked, and I would make a simple syrup. Now you can make that simple syrup. You can add just, I mean, a quarter of a teaspoon, just a very slight amount of coconut. If you use too much coconut extract, it's, you know, it starts to taste not natural. But, you know, just a little bit. And, you know, if you didn't do the crumb topping, then you can, you know, just simply, after you skewer it, just, you know, brush it or pour it lightly. If you have the crumb topping, in which I definitely recommend, I would still skewer the sides and around there. I wouldn't pour it on top of my crumb topping because I think it would kind of make it a little bit soggy, but certainly brushing it along the sides of the loaf or the muffin or whatever it is that you've baked, I think would be certainly nice. But that's when I picked up the best aroma of the coconut, was when I was toasting it in the oven, and it tastes good. It tasted very, very good. Now, what I did was, after I put the coconut and the coconut cream on top of this, the muffins were still in the pan, and my oven had been turned off, and I just kind of slid it in there thinking, okay, you know, and so it did toast the coconut up a little bit more. But again, my oven was off, and it was maybe 5 or 10 minutes more, and it did not overbrown on the bottom. However, when I originally baked these, even though they're baked and cooked, these did not brown on the bottom. And I can't say it was because of the silicone, well, pan that I had that I got this, or, you know, your own experience is what it is. But it tastes really good. The crumb is really, really nice. I'll hold a piece up for you guys, and it's going to crumb some. But it's very tender, it's very nice, and I'm getting ready to have some breakfast. I hope that y'all give this a try, and for the person who sent me the recipe, I hope this helps take your Pina Colada Quick Bread recipe to another level. I want to thank y'all again for joining me here home at the Hollow, and I certainly hope to see y'all again. Goodbye now.